Hi, I'm Ed, and this is again the Atheist, the Bird with No Cage YouTube channel. And today I'm going to try to fit two ideas in. First of all, I'd like to talk about an idea that I think is a huge challenge for my Christian friends, especially when they talk about the Christian religion as a form of justice. And what I'm going to do is present a scenario and show what I mean by how totally unfair and ridiculous the idea is. So the scenario is this. What happens, let's say a young woman gets attacked by a horrible person that rapes her, robs her, and murders her. Okay, now according to the Christian, and okay, a little background. This girl is not a Christian. She does not believe in that God for whatever reason. Maybe she's an atheist, maybe she's from another religion or whatever. Anyway, she's not a believer. This girl is dead. So because she doesn't believe and is not a Christian, when she died, she goes to hell. And I don't know, there's some monkeying around with the hell idea. I've got my friend, the preacher now is doing something where he seems to be backing off the fire and brimstone idea and claiming that, well, hell is just being separated from God or something. But there's a whole lot of fucking Christians that still claim that, you know, hell is that kind of thing. Anyway, this girl gets punished because she's not a believer, etc. Now the person that raped, robbed, and murdered her goes to God and either is a Christian or becomes a Christian and goes to God and confesses sincere sorrow for what he has done, kisses God's ass up and down a little bit. That's my terminology. Anyway, convinces God that he's sorry and and he believes in God, everything. So he goes to heaven and gets this, whatever the hell you believe heaven is, the golden gates and the luxury apartment somewhere in the sky or whatever. Anyway, he lives forever with God and has a wonderful life. Meanwhile, you got the victim who, just because she did not believe in the right God, or perhaps in any God, she ends up getting tortured forever. I just don't see how we can possibly pull that all together. And I don't think there's any exaggeration. Some Christians might say, well, this person may not have been repentant for what he did, but the point is, God knows that. As long as he actually is repentant, says, no, I'm sorry, it was terrible, he gets to go to heaven. Come on, that's the same. So the murdering, raping, robbing God believer gets to go to heaven and enjoy eternity with God and whoever, and the victim goes to hell to suffer again forever. I just don't get it. I don't see how Christians can find any solace in that, find any way to make that work so that there's any justice in that kind of system. Okay, now the other idea that I want to fit in is totally unassociated. It's nothing to do with that idea really, but we'll see. So this idea is, I'm still trying to wonder why Christians have such a bad attitude towards anybody who doesn't agree with them. But especially, I think, you know, if you meet a Christian and you say, oh, I'm a Hindu, or I'm a Mormon, or even I'm a Scientologist or something, they you know, they may think, well, you should come over to our side and be a Jesus freak sort of thing. But, and this is my experience, when I meet Christians, I talk to them, oh, hi Ed, how you doing? Fine. Oh, you play guitar, oh, cool. Oh, you do this, so you live in Mexico. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Where do you go to church? And that's when I mentioned that, well, I don't go to church. In fact, I label myself as an atheist. I don't believe in any gods. Now, all of a sudden, I mean, right now, with the word, the A word, the atheist word, there is a change in that person. And it seems to be something close to fear, or at least dislike, and the relationship is permanently, you know, damaged at best. I've had that experience with my friend the preacher. We've been spending once or so a week chatting often about religious things and so on. And I've gone through that with this preacher. There was a long time when he apparently, it seemed to me, approached me and looked at me as though he was like standoffish and just, it reminds me, I have a phobia. It seems like a phobia to me. I have a couple of phobias, but my biggest, most bothersome phobia is my fear of snakes. And so I have this, you know, a little harmless snake. I know it's not poisonous, maybe doesn't even have teeth, not going to bite me or anything, but I have a totally unreasonable fear. There's absolutely no reason for me to be afraid or feel anything like that towards this snake. And so maybe the preacher is looking at me as though I'm a snake, or in the same way. That would have a pretty good biblical connection, wouldn't it, after thinking about the Genesis story of the serpent, Eve talking to the serpent, and the serpent actually telling them the truth. Anyway, I'm wondering if that's part of the thing. This is actually like a phobia. Because I think in the case of the preacher and myself, after we've been doing this for a couple of years now, and we have come to now have pretty good conversations with little animosity. I don't feel any animosity towards him. I just think he's wrong. And I don't think he's come around to thinking that I'm right. But it seems to me that if there's that, whatever I was sensing is that kind of similar to a phobia, that he was just like going, oh boy. atheist sort of thing. I think that's at least fading and maybe mostly gone. So I've dealt with in this video the idea of this system being a system of justice, this Christian idea of heaven and hell, and why you go there is just, just gets more and more ridiculous to me. I can't find the older I get, I thought maybe as I got older I might learn to understand how they felt, but I don't. And so the idea of them looking at me with a phobic sort of attitude, I'm wondering if that's a little bit of explanation of what's going on. And as my attitude towards the preacher is, I'm really concerned about what he does for a living, teaching people some of the things that the Bible generally, a lot of the things in the Bible I feel are absolutely immoral. Like the hatred of gay people is one of my favorite beefs, and maybe partly because a couple of the people that I love most in the world happen to be gay. But I just find that intolerable, and I have problems with someone making a living teaching ideas like that. Gay people like me who don't believe what he believes, we're going to go to hell and suffer forever and everything. And some people, as long as they agree with what he is, they do the ass kissing that he calls worshiping God, believing in worshiping God. They can go to this lovely place they call a lovely place. It doesn't seem that way to me, but where God is, and live in a luxury apartment overlooking the beach and so on. I find it just unbelievable that they can actually hold that makes sense. Okay, now the phobia idea is, I basically came up with that today and mentioned it to Glenda if it made sense, and I'm not sure it is, but it seems pretty close. Because like I say, I've been around religious people. I have 2-3 friends that are preachers, and every time when I use the term atheist, there's just this kind of thing. It seems close to a phobia. It's with my phobia, the sight of a snake scares me. Well, in this case, it's not sight, but as soon as I use the word atheist, that phobic sort of reaction seems to take place. Okay, so those are 2 ideas I just thrown out there. It's a lot about me. I still spend, what's today, Wednesday, yesterday, I spent time with the preacher, and we basically have a pretty good time, and he seems to be pretty accepting of me now, or he seems to be treating me as a normal person, whatever the hell that means, as opposed to be standoffish because I am an atheist sort of thing. So maybe one of the things I'm trying to do with these videos, and I think that I know that my favorite shows, like the Atheist Experience out of Austin, Texas, and the other show called Talk Heathen, there's Godless Bitches, and so on. One of the things that all of those shows talk about is the idea of trying to normalize atheism. In other words, take away that, what I've named a phobia, from the idea of being atheist. So I hope I made the point on that. Glenn, can you think of anything that I'm missing in the areas that I've talked about today? I'm looking for help. No? Okay. Well, I think, once again, what is the date? It's January the 6th? 8th? January the 8th, 2020. Wow. Still shocked when I say that. It's a Wednesday, January the 8th, and here we are videoing from the terrace of our home, Glenda and my home, and plus our cats and so on. And that's all for today, and thank you. Bye.